Drizzy, BBL Drizzy, BBL Drizzy, BBL Drizzy. I'm a little worried about this, man. I just put it in my mouth to grab all my stuff, and it cracked a little bit. So I don't know. Like I dry box this thing. It doesn't seem too dry. But my wrapper cracked. You're probably not gonna be able to see that. It doesn't really matter. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. I know it's been a while. I know it's been a minute. But one, it's been really hard to get on. There's so many people, going live and doing other things. You try to support other people's channels. You try not to step on their shows. You don't want your show to get stepped on. Nah, there's no backup to a Siri D. This is the only one. He said it's a real Cuban. It cracked. You know what I mean? I just put it in my mouth, man. I ain't even took off the cap yet, man. It's crazy. It's crazy. But it is what it is, man. I was in the mood for a Cuban, so I had to do it, and I got the chinchali to kind of follow behind it. If my phone and headphones make it long enough to do all that. What up, everybody? Hound Dog, what up? Dave, what up? Cal, what up? Man, you got to go live when Cigars Daily goes live. Hey, man. Cigars Daily will be around. Don't worry about Cigars Daily. They not talking about nothing new anyway. It's all good. Shout out to Tim though. VA man, 2 up, 2 down, man. Shouts out some. And what part of VA you in? If you don't mind me asking, man. Where you at in VA? You Hampton Road? You Northern VA? You ain't missing nothing with Cigars Daily. They not smoking the Cuban either. I finally got up over Cigars Daily for once. Just little old me. I'm like a brick and mortar against like STG or something like that. Y'all see that article that said STG was struggling? I found that interesting. I didn't get to read the whole article. I just kind of skimmed through it. I had to go to the gym, man. Y'all see him in the gym clothes. But I thought that was kind of interesting. I want to do some follow up on that. I figured Hound Dog has probably seen all of that. Hound Dog probably know everything. Oh, okay, I had a homeboy from Gloucester, man. All right. I only been to Gloucester like one time, man. But shouts out to Virginia Beach. I spent a lot of time in Virginia Beach in the Pembroke area. Spent a lot of time out there, man. Whole lot of time. I hope this Cuban is not plugged. I'm still nervous. I think I'm still traumatized. The fact that it cracked on me is one thing. Mm. Mm-hmm. Mm. We got a draw, baby. We got a draw, baby. BBL Drizzy. We got a draw, baby. I do want to say this. I was saying that I had a homeboy from Gloucester. Well, as I was thinking about it, as I was liking the cigar, he really not my homeboy, man. Now that I think about it, I had to go back through the memory banks. So this is when I was living in Virginia, and there was this cat I was kicking with. I'm not gonna say any names on this. I'm not putting this cat in the best light, but we were young dudes. We was 20 somethings. I was probably like 21, 22, and I met this cat while I was on the poetry scene, and I was doing my whole artsy fartsy thing like that. MCing, doing poetry, doing graffiti, artwork, blah blah blah, all that kind of stuff, right? This is long before cigars, long before any of the butchery, anything like that. And I had a '91 Ford Escort. This was my first car. I got it when I was like 18, 19. And this car had lasted me for about 4 or 5 years. I didn't take the best care of the car. But y'all know cars, back then could take a whole lot more than a lot of these cars do now. These cars might be like really fancy now. They might not need gas, and they might have computer monitors in them, and they got AC coming out of the headrest and all that kind of fancy stuff. This was a '91 Ford Escort. I ain't had none of that shit. And I called the car Christine. And the reason why I called the car Christine, because I guess the person that had it before me tried to like soup up the car so the lights would come on by themselves sometimes. And the how they had the automatic seat belt joints. the automatic seat belts would come back on their own. So when you were driving, it would just tighten up on you. And it would always do it to people who were driving my car. And it never happened to anybody else. He said, shit, I had a boy with the Escort too, 18s in the back. Yeah, that little thing, man, you can pump it up, and it has some get up to it too. So that's kind of part of the thing, right? So my brother's friend, it was this dude that looked like DMX. We used to call him DMX. I can't even remember what his real name was. And he took me under his wing because, like, you know, I was a little brother, so 20-year-old cat living with my older brother, whatever. So they would take me under the wing. But I let this cat borrow the car, the '91 Escort. This cat goes and get into a police chase with the car. Somehow I get the car back. Now I've always been a super generous dude. Like I don't like have a lot to give people. I never really had a lot of money. I've just never been that type of cat. But I'm the type of cat that, like, I will literally give you the shirt off my back. If you need a coat and it's cold outside, here, take my coat. I'll be fine. If you need to go somewhere, you need a car, here, take my car. Just come back. I've always been that type of dude, right? You never know the basic stuff that people will need. Matt, what up, man? Matt in the morning. You never know the type of stuff that people will need when people will need help. So this dude from Gloucester that I was telling you guys about, I had a weird situation with him one time. Like I was giving him a ride somewhere, and he was like, "Yo, let's go get some." There was a Jamaican spot. We used to go get Jamaican food, and it was called Papa Willie's, and it was in Norfolk. We used to go to Papa Willie's. Hey, no doubt, VA to the core, man. So we go to Papa Willie's. We get some food, and we sit around. We talking about music. We talking about writing raps and battle raps and all this kind of stuff. And he was like, "Yo, take me over to go see this girl real quick. She got a friend or whatever. We can, we go kick it and see what's up with him." Something is just like a casual thing. You know how young dudes do. Your homie got a girl who got a friend. You try to go through, kick it, see if you might, mingle, kick it, yada yada yada. This is an amazing cigar, by the way. So we go there, and I remember it was cold outside, so it was like snow on the ground. So we go into this apartment complex, and he tried to call the girl, and like the girl didn't pick up. And he was like, "Yo, I'm just gonna go see her anyway." And I'm just like, "Yo, you sure we want to do that?" He was like, "Yo, park the car down the street." So we parked the car down the street, and I'm like, "Yo, this is weird, man." But I'm kind of young and naive at the time because I'm just thinking like, this is a really smart dude, he's really talented. He ain't gonna be doing anything crazy. One thing, we're doing this in Norfolk. This is the last place that you want to be creeping around is in Norfolk, Virginia. Like, that's not a place you play with. Norfolk and Portsmouth, like, and bad news. You don't play around like that. Anyway, so we walk into the girl crib. We walking in the cold, whatever. And I guess the girl wasn't picking up the phone. And this is back when we had the old flip phones or whatever. So he knocks on the door, and the girl don't pick up. And I noticed that the old boy is like peeking through her windows. And she was just like, she see him peeking through the windows. She opened the door. I don't know this girl from Adam. Like, I've never met this girl. I've never met her friend or nothing like that. But they finally like invite us in, and it was like awkward. But that was like the first time that I felt like this dude was on some strange shit. But I let it go. I was just like, maybe he just had a rough night. Maybe they got a weird, kind of goofy relationship, whatever. Not too much longer after that, dude comes by the crib. It's like, "Yo, E, I need to borrow the car." And I was like, "All right, cool." I can't remember what he told me that he wanted to borrow the car for. I have no idea. Like, this thing is smoking fantastically too. I don't remember what it was that he told me he had to borrow the car for, but I gave him the keys. Like, no doubt, man. Just come back. I ain't got to go nowhere this weekend. Whatever. Said Norfolk is a coffin if you're sleepy, and I'm never sleeping. Sleeping is the cousin of death. That's absolute facts. So anyway, dude tell me he need to borrow the car. I let him get the John, and he take it, go, and I can't reach him. My man is gone for like, I know he was gone for several days. And I'm just like, "Yo, man." I almost said his name. I was like, "Yo," I was telling my brother, like, "Yo, dude got my car, man. I gotta go to work, whoop-de-whoop." and he ain't coming back with my car. And in Virginia, I should have said blah, blah, but that was back in the day. But when dude comes back with my car, he was like, "Hey man, I'm sorry, like some stuff happened with the car, but some dudes tried to jack me or something." I don't remember what he was telling me. It was some bullshit ass story. But the lock on my trunk was gone. Like I think somebody stole my car and he got the car back. I thought he dipped too. He didn't dip with the car. He came back. But you know how like those old, 91 Escorts, they were kind of like a hatchback almost. So you had the lock on the joint. Somebody popped the lock somehow. The lock is completely gone. So from then on, like I didn't have a lock on my trunk. Like luckily it's still closed. But the other weird part was the interior joint, like when you open the car door, the door handle was loose. So now, like when you try to close the door handle would come off. So I had to like open the window or like pull it from the top of the car. I couldn't just use the door handle because it looked like he was in a fight at some point in time, and he had to take off running in the car. Like he had to hop in the car and speed off, and he tried to slam the door, and the door handle, like they were trying to pull on it, and the door handle broke. So this is how the dude brought my car back to me, man. Door handle all smacked up. The lock is completely missing. Like, if I remember correct, man, I was like, I'm in my 20s. It's almost 20 years ago now. But the door lock, like, I think he gave me the lock itself, and I could never figure out like what. I remember being so puzzled trying to figure out like, yo, what could happen that could allow this to happen in my car? What did he have to go through even to get my car back, or what was he trying to do with my car? And I immediately thought back to him creeping around that girl's house, man. I'm like, yo, this is really a shady dude. Years later, I found like he's a grifter in Philadelphia right now. I don't know if y'all know who Umar Johnson is, but he one of them type of cats. He like Umar Johnson, and he always got a scam. He always got a hustle. So I seen him in a magazine a few years later. I was like, oh, that's what you doing now. You a grimy ass dude. But anyway, that's my story about my homie from Gloucester. That just kind of came out of nowhere, man. Like, and I'm not gonna try to put that on you, man. That's how people from Gloucester are. It's just that's my memory of this cat, man. Nah, but see, it's possible. That is possible now that I think about it. But I really think he took my car and I think he went up to Philly. This is, man, like y'all know when I do these shows, man. Like I like to tell stories, and I like to kind of give y'all a window into what I'm like. That's what you do around cigars, right? You talk, you tell stories, you chop it up with your friends. Like that's what you do. But I got a ton of wild stories like this, man. But that's just like the fact that my car came, and I always think about that sometimes. But he's from Philly, and I'm convinced that he took my car to Philly to do some dirt, and he was probably trying to move some. And oh, the Knicks are coming back, yo. The Knicks tied the game, but I'm convinced he was trying to do something in Philly, man, and that's why he was gone so long. And I wish to this day I could get the real story about what actually happened in my car. And the only reason why I'm not really, really mad about it is because I got my car back. I got Christine back, and I was able to drive Christine. And that car has so many memories, man, because it was like the car I had when I first had my daughter. It was the car I had when I first met my wife. It was the car I had, it was the first car that I ever owned. You know what I'm saying? Like I got memories in this car with girls. Like that car was like, that was my baby, man. But yeah, that's homie from Gloucester, man. I'm still thinking he was in Philly doing some dirt shit. I appreciate y'all like actually taking the time to kick it with him when I tell these wild ass stories, man. Like y'all boy EKB seen some shit in 40 something years, man. I seen some wild shit. And what's really crazy is years down the road, like I left Virginia, went back to North Carolina, came back to Virginia, and it's a spider. God damn. So I came back to Virginia and I got a job like out in Chesapeake. And while living in Chesapeake, I'm working with this cat that was from Philly, and he just kind of came out of the blue. And I was like, "Yo, man, you from Philly, and you here in VA? Do you know this guy named so and so?" And the look on his face when I mentioned his name, he was like, "Yo, don't ever mention that motherfucking name to me again." So that kind of tell you the type of person he was, yo. So he knew him, and they were good friends, and he had stories like I had stories. So, but me and him are still friends to this day. But that just show you how small the world is, man. I had never met this cat before, and he's sitting down like I'm training him at work, and we just talking, we chop it up. Oh, where you from? Oh, okay, we from Philly. Yo, I know this cat that's from Philly, man. You know so and so. He one of them old Drake type motherfuckers, man. It just happens sometimes. All right. While we at it, let's talk cigars, man, because I've been wanting to like talk about Cuban. Lucy. Virginia and North Carolina are kind of small. Everybody knows everybody. In a way, there's really like only a few degrees of separation, right? You know what I'm saying? Because I would imagine that you connected with somebody that I'm talking about. Either one of these cats. I would imagine that you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. And just taking on a musical sense. I don't know how much y'all are into like hip hop. Y'all know hip hop music like that, but especially with all the stuff going on with Drake and Kendrick and Metro Boomin and all this kind of stuff. Everybody talk about Pharrell. They talk about the Clips. They from Virginia. If you from Virginia Beach, if you from Norfolk, you probably got a story or you know somebody that knows somebody that knows Pusha T, or you know somebody that knows Pharrell, or you know somebody that knows Allen Iverson. Like, that's how small it is. So there's a producer by the name of Bink that he works with Rick Ross. Once again, that's another connection to all this beef stuff that's going on. And he produced a track called Santorini Grease. And he also produced Devil in a New Dress by Kanye. That's Bink. So one of my closest friends back in VA used to cut my hair, and he was like my guy. He's like he's like my kid's godfather. Like, he really, like, that's my dude. And just one day out the blue, he was like, "Yo, man, I know Bink, man. He the producer out here." I was like, "Yo, I know who Bink is. Hell yeah, I know Bink." And he was like, "Yo, he coming through the shop, man. You come through, get your hair cut, man. You get to meet Bink." Sure enough, just in a little shopping center, in a little barber shop on, what was the name of that street in Norfolk, man? It's one of the main strips. I don't think it's Norfolk Boulevard. It's not Hampton Boulevard. I can't remember. It's a little shopping center out there. And it's near, so I think it's Military Circle. So it's out on Military Circle. So anyway, I go through it, man, and I just chop it up with Bink. And I don't know a lot of celebrities. I never met a lot of celebrities. I never met a lot of famous people. And Bink ain't the most famous dude unless you like really into hip hop like that. Not Janeth. That's dope that you know Janeth though. But it's the other shopping center that's a little bit closer. Like, it used to be like a Checkers over there. It was a big and tall store. And it was an Ollie's. I'm trying to like go through my memory because like y'all know my memory's trash. So I'm trying to go through my memory. But it was just a little random ass shopping center. Okay, yeah, it was right across from Janeth though. So you know the one I'm talking about. Bet. But anyway, it's just a little small, it was called an Oasis. It was just a little small salon and barbershop. My man cut me up, and I'm just sitting there chilling, chopping it up with Bink. And, he ain't even talking about music. He ain't talking about producers. He ain't talking about people. We just having a ball, man. We in there bugging. I don't know if y'all ever seen, like, the episode of Atlanta where the guy go to the barbershop and he just trying to get a cut, and it take him all day to get his hair cut because his dude keeps stopping like, "Hey, let's go over here. Let's go do this." And dude never gets his hair cut. That was my homie. Like, he would spend so much time talking and telling stories that I would have like one side of my hair cut, and I'm like 1 hour into this joint, and he in there, he taking lunch, he buying CDs, he cooking food. One day he stopped and he did P90X. So me and like I can't make this shit up. I can't make it up. Anyway, so me and Bink in there just bugging about how long it take to get your hair cut by this dude, man. Shouts out to my homie Jay, but that's neither here nor there. I try to come on early, man, so I could actually sit down and talk with you guys. Because it's been a while since I've done Smoke Your Best Cigars. And I've been dying to have a Cuban. I've been dying to smoke a Cuban. And if you guys have seen recently, like the Cubans that I've had lately, it hasn't gone well. Like they've been plugged or if I had some kind of technical issues. It's so nice right now to just get a nice, well constructed, flavorful Cuban. And I feel like my palate has been changing. Last night I had an Undercrown 10. And I was trying to figure out like what I wanted to smoke. For the most part, I've been trying to go back to like lighter cigars. I've been trying to go back to the Chinchales. I've been trying to go back to, El Oso Blanco. I've been trying to go back to, cigars that are not super light. But I've been in the mood for something like maybe a Mil Diaz, maybe like a Florida Acres, Florida Sungrown joint, the 20-acre farm. That's what I'm thinking of. And I don't know, man. I haven't been in the mood for like these heavy, robust cigars. And I think because that's what I've been smoking the most. I've been so like into my Dumbartons and the heavier profiles and smoking West Tampas, smoking Olmecs and all that. And I was like, I need something different. I need a change. I need another vibe. Drop my ash. So the Cubans and I burned my hole in my shorts. So a Cuban and the Cubanesque has kind of been in my lane lately, man. And don't get me wrong, that Undercrown 10 that I had last night was absolutely outstanding. It was absolutely outstanding. And it was literally one of the best cigars that I've had recently. Like I would give that like super high marks if I was grading. And I was talking in the group chat and I gave it, using Cigar Collective's metric, I gave it a tier. And it was just a beautiful cigar. But this is what I've been looking for. He said I'm smoking the Addict series from West Tampa right now. Wish I could get a nice Cuban again. Last time I had one, it was in Italy at my cousin's wedding in 2016. Do you remember what Cuban it was? Shouts out to your cousin too, man. If you know it's up in the place to be. Nah, man, you just missed the old story, man. If you want to hear just an old story from back in my VA days, man, just go back and get the replay. You ain't missed nothing too crazy. Yeah, so Kyle just hooked me up with that. Shouts out. Said, bro, I'm feeling the same way. I'm smoking under Undercrown shade now. I think I'm gonna start my day with Connecticut and then work up. And that makes sense. I've been kind of in that vibe too. And y'all know it's early for me. It's only like 10 o'clock for me right now. And I just didn't want to smoke something heavy early in the day. But I wanted something that actually had some flavor. And this is definitely the real deal. Like, this is definitely a real Cuban. Shouts out to Sal Jinko, too, for sending this one out to me. I dry boxed it. Just because I've been having some construction issues. I've been having some temp issues. The Knicks are up, by the way. Wesley, what up, man? All is well, bro. I hope all is well with you, too. He said I was too damn drunk to remember. But you remember it was a Cuban, though. Being new to cigars, what's your opinion on Cubans? I'm glad you asked that because I got a whole thing that I'm thinking about doing an actual episode on Cubans, but I'll kind of get into some of the details on that. So I'm glad you asked that. Is the hype legit? That's one of the major questions that I wanted to answer. Or overrated in your opinion? That's one of the major questions that I wanted to answer. Of course, cigars are all different and for everyone, of course. Yeah, for sure. So I'm going to catch up to all the other details on that, but let me kind of get into that one while we smoking the actual Cuban. I'm going to keep it kind of surface because I don't want to like give too much away for the episode that I want to do if I actually get into this conversation and if I actually take the time to really do a talk on Cuban cigars. I was going back and forth, in a DM the other day, and I had a really good conversation about Cubans. for me personally, right now, currently, they're absolutely overpriced. And they're overpriced because of the construction issues and because of just the fact, the quality control and all that, and mainly because of the legacy. Now, don't get me wrong. If you could get like Cubans at your standard price that you could buy any of these other cigars. So let's say, for instance, that these cigars were just about the same size. The Cuban was just a little bit bigger. It was probably had like a couple centimeters on the ring gauge, right? But if you could get this Serie D for the same price that you can get the Chinchale, I love the Chinchale. Absolutely fantastic cigar. I'm taking this Serie D over that cigar. Just because, like the spicy cedar that you get from this, that it's a sweet honey note in here that's lingering on the palate, and there's that twang that people talk about. It's a very vegetal note that you don't get from most New World cigars. So when it comes to that, when people are talking about just uniqueness of the cigar, you guys know I go on and on about how much I love unique cigars. I love the Undercrown 10. I love the Sin Compromiso. I love the Chinchale. I love the Andalusian Bull. I love the Istanbul. I don't love it, but it was a very unique flavor profile for a cigar. You're not going to get anything that tasted like that cigar. That's my wheelhouse. The one thing about Cubans, I really, even with an Atabey, even with the Andalusian Bull, I haven't had anything that tastes just like a Cuban. Now, do I think that should make the Cuban, put in a bubble where that is this, the holy grail of cigars? No, it is not. It is definitely not that. But if you can smoke a real Cuban, and if you can get the chance to, it's worth it to get that flavor profile so you understand what this cigar tastes like and what this cigar is actually like, and how different it is from other cigars. Because let's talk about Bradley, from Zeal Cigars, right? Before I started my channel, this was back when he and Tim from Cigars Daily were actually, still working together, back in the TNT days. And they did this challenge where they blindfolded Bradley, and they put, they put different cigars in front of Bradley to see if he could tell which one was a Cuban and which one was not a Cuban. And he could actually smoke the cigar and taste the cigar and tell you, okay, that's a Cuban. And I remember being in awe because this is long before I ever got a Cuban, because I thought I had a Cuban before and it wasn't really a Cuban. That's another story for another day. But it actually made me kind of sit back and kind of appreciate, one, Bradley's palate, and two, the uniqueness of Cuban cigars. So that kind of put me on that mission in order to get Cubans. So when I moved to Japan, I finally had Cuban cigars at my disposal. So I went through and I smoked the Ramon Alones, and I smoked the Vertigos, and I smoked the Punch Punch, and I smoked the Serie D, and I smoked the Monte No. 2, and I smoked the Monte No. 4, and I smoked Bolivar, and I went through and I just tried I Romeo y Julieta, and I went through H. Upman, and I just went through and I just smoked different Cubans, and I smoked Cubans because, one, they were still affordable at the time. I was getting them at the yen rate, and I was also able to just, kind of, pick and choose and kind of discern, like, hey, I'm starting this channel. I need to understand what Cubans are all about, and I need to appreciate what Cubans really taste like. And there were certain cigars that actually stood out to me. The Ramon Alones. Oh, I had Trinidad's. The Trinidad stood out to me. And the Partagas Serie D stood out to me. Then I had somebody send me the Partagas Lusitaneous. And it sent me on a journey. And all in all, I went through all the struggles that everybody goes through. I went through the wrapper cracking. And I went through the cigars being plugged. And I went through the process of actually getting a cigar that tastes better than any cigar that I had at that time when I had the No. 2. And I was like, oh, I'm getting tea, and I'm getting hay, and I'm getting cedar, and I'm getting grass, and I'm getting honey, and I'm getting honeysuckle, and I'm getting graham cracker, and like, and I'm getting these unique flavors, and like, and still to this day, I've never had anything that tasted exactly like a Cuban. So I love Cubans. I really think they're great. That's amazing. But they also have their drawbacks as well. And you got to kind of live with that. And nobody wants that nervousness. Like I wasn't acting before. Like I was genuinely nervous before lighting up this cigar because I didn't know if it was going to be plugged. And you got viewers, and you got friends sending you cigars, and they're giving you Nix One, and they're giving you Cubans because they appreciate you and they want to share a good cigar with you. But the gamble to that is like you don't know if that cigar is going to be plugged, and you don't want to tell your friend like, yo, that cigar was plugged. You don't want your friend to spend their money or go through whatever process they got to do to actually get Cubans that are actually rated up here. Not just rated up here as in cost, but also rated up here because of the history of cigars and how they taste and all that, the whole nine, yada yada yada. So without going into the detail that I wanted to go into for my show, that's how I feel about Cubans. And I'm going to expound on all of that later on down the line. In the car said I just had a Mil Diaz Maduro fan-fucking-tastic cigar, and it is absolutely that. That is not an understatement at all. UCS said the undercrowns are on sale right now at Cigars International for $5 a stick. That is a good price until tomorrow. I probably won't have a chance to get that right now, but everybody, I hope y'all saw this comment. Sorry, my allergies are acting up. I picked up 2 20-packs, Bahia Blue for a decent cheap cigar for under $1.50 a stick. Hey man, sound like you racked up. Shouts out to Cigars International. Let's see. Intercar said I had a Monte that was like whipped cream and a salted sweet cream butter, but it was kind of a one-trick pony. Was this is a Cuban Monte? And just to catch up with you, I'm trying to catch up with you guys. One of my local B&Ms just got West Tampa Reds and Whites in. I've been waiting to try them. It's worth the try, man. I wasn't blown away, but it's definitely worth the try for both of those, man. I want to say the one I had in Italy was a Romeo and Julieta, but I've always wanted to try the Bolivar. The Bolivar is a completely different animal when you get to smoke that cigar, man. So I hope you get to try Bolivar at some point in time. Dave said, what's funny, when I first got here, Cubans were like 2,500 yen. So what is that? Nissan Hakugo. Did I get that right? Nissan Hakugo in this? And I thought it was taxed then. Now everything is 5,000 yen. Go send in for sure, man. And it's crazy. It's crazy like how much it's jumped up like that. Like you really can't even enjoy Cubans now. Even if you, especially if you're trying to go out to a lounge or something like that, yo. It's like it's impossible. And and I miss being able to have that luxury to just be able to go to Yokohama and just go to Tokyo and just grab some Cubans. I could even go to Yokosuka, 20 minutes away, grab some Cubans and go home. And I can't do that now. And it's really disappointing, man. So I feel you on that. Yeah, Cal Yen is going through some shit, and it sucks for the Japanese economy, even though some Japanese are kind of happy about it because, like, us expats are like, we spending dough out here, man. We spending dough out here. And it's like, it's a benefit, it's a blessing and a curse. So for me, like the selfish side of me for my family, like, yo, we can just go down here to the grocery store and buy fruit for, 400 yen, 300 yen, 200 yen, and that's next to nothing out of our pocket. We go back onto the military base and it's gonna be $4 to $5 for that. You do the math. You know what I mean? And it's like so there's ways that it benefits us. But at the same time, man, I never want to see anybody's economy fall to the point that it affects the country, especially a beautiful country like Japan. I don't want to see it happen. I love being here. Varagos is the only Cuban I've ever had. It was okay. It's a decent Cuban. It's not bad, especially for a budget Cuban. It's not a bad cigar. It gives you an idea of what Cubans taste like. It gives you an idea. But really, until you get to the point where you've had the Monte number two, until you had the Trinidad's, until you've had the Partagas Series D, like once you get into that realm, once you get into the Ramona Lones, when you get into the Boulevard, that's when you start like, okay, now I get it with these Cubans. And you know, you got the people that love the Cahibas too. It's never been the Romeo and Juliet and the Cubans it have not been my thing. Though I smoke them. Even the punch was decent. Like they, you know, so, but there's this is levels to it, and it's just like any other cigar. And that's the thing that I wanted to talk about in my show. Like you got levels to the Nicaraguans, you got levels to the Dominican cigars, you got levels to your Honduran, and you know, and just kind of if you look at it in the puro sense. And I don't want to go too deep into that part because that's the one few thing that I think that I have a conversation worth talking about that not a lot of other people are talking about in the Cuban space. But focusing on just Cuban cigars themselves, you have that kind of you have these different levels. But when you get to some of the best Cubans, it's not gonna crush some of your favorite Cuban cigars. It's not gonna make you fall in love completely, but you will appreciate Cubans when they smoke right. When they smoke like this, it's really a special moment. And my main thing, my whole thing that I was talking about, like I was just in a vibe, like I wanted. This is the flavor profile that I wanted. It's not coffee right now, and it's not giving me dark chocolate. I'm not getting pepper and espresso. It's just something completely in a different lane. You get the honey, you get the floral notes, you get that vegetal note, that twang that they talk about. You get the cedar, but it's also like a smoothness. Sometimes you get like popcorn, and you get those. It's a different kind of roast note. You get the tea flavors in there. You get black tea sometimes. You get just like your standard tea. Sometimes you get fruit notes, and that like if you like you get a nuttiness sometimes too. So sometimes it's a different lane than getting like Brazil nut, than getting that mesquite wood or getting that savory meat flavor profile. It's not black coffee, it's something completely different. You're not getting the ligero, you're not getting the super earthy tones that you're familiar with some of the, you're not getting that dirty note or grit that you get from Honduran. Like it's not that. It's a completely different animal. Cal said, growing up in Italy, I know, man, before they went to the euro, the lira versus the dollar was awesome. And that makes a huge difference, man. We can really kind of go to another country and like really vibe out. But it's the give and take, man. You want a country to do well, you want a country to step up, but you also want to be able to travel and experience and actually be able to spend your currency and get that nice exchange rate and then be able to come home with some nice Cubans or some nice artifacts or some really cool snacks and all that, and or just eat while you out there and really enjoy it. Like imagine going to Italy and just being able to eat your way through northern and southern Italy, and that just sounds dope to me. To get Cubans in the U.S. from the U.K. or Canada, the Bohiques are $400 a stick per stick, no discounts for a box. Even the entry level Cuban punches, Trinidad is not entry level. Oh, and another one that I really enjoy. Speaking of Trinidad, the Quay d'Orsay. Am I saying that right? Quay d'Orsay. That is a phenomenal cigar too. You used to be able to get that at a reasonable price. Boulevard's part of it's around $50 a stick, and that's the crazy point, man. That you're saying like these cigars should not be that expensive. They shouldn't be that expensive. But when you got China, when you got Japan, when you got the U.S., and you got Europe, and you got Australia, and they're fighting to get Cubans because Cubans still have that legacy that Cubans are the top of the top best cigars that are out there, and it's not the case. And that's one of the major things that I want to talk about. I can expound on that, but it's almost like part of me feels like it's worth it to drop 50 every now and then to get an experience just to see what the Cubans are like. But another part of me is just like, just go get an Andalusian bull, man, and don't even stress it. You feel me? The Guillermo, the most full body that I've experienced, I would recommend going with the Bolivar, and I would recommend going with the Ramon Alones. Those are the most full bodied to me, and that's the Partagas. It's a couple of the Partagas that are out there that you can actually get a nice little robust flavor, but it's not going to be the same thing that you get, that you're used to with a lot of the New World. You're not going to get an AJ Fernandez type experience, but you will get some depth to that cigar, and you will get some complexity, and I think it's well worth it. Hopefully I'm not missing anybody. I'm trying to catch up. Butter and bread, yeah, you get that sometimes, man. You get that sometimes. Hey, man, I'm shouts out to you, Wesley. I try to do what I can, man, and I try to give my experience, just based on my palate. Somebody else may have a different opinion, but this is just, for me taking my time to really explore Cuban cigars. That's been the experience that I've had with it, and this thing is outstanding, man. This thing is outstanding. But I will say this: I do get cravings for Cubans, the same way I get a craving for a Micarita, the same way I get a craving for Undercrown 10, the same way I get a craving for like, a Patoro here and there. Like I get a craving for a Sin Compromiso, just because like that cigar, Amazon Basin, I get cravings for them because they're so highlighted on my palate and they're so ingrained in me as far as like a specific flavor profile that I can identify. Kintsugi, I was so mad that my Kintsugi was plugged the other day. I get a craving for that. I get the same thing with Cubans, and it just sucks ass that I can't get Cubans the way that I want to get Cubans. And just the fact that there's, that price hike that is there, the embargo that's there, and even with me being outside of the country, like you get frustrated that you just can't get your hands on Cubans. And I think it sucks that just like your regular everyday US cigar lover can't just go grab a part of your Serie D and just sit back and enjoy it the same way you want to enjoy whatever your favorite cigar is. And that kind of blows. You can't just go and grab it like you can just go and grab a Mil Diaz. And that's the wackest part about the whole thing. Because if I could, this is a cigar that I would pick up several times a month to smoke the cigar, just because my body just like, I want this. I love what I'm experiencing right now. Hugo, what up, homie? People are saying that with China's emerging cigar culture, that they are getting Cuba's best cigars, and that the seconds are going to. I've been hearing this rumor too. I don't know how true it is, but I've been hearing this a lot. This has actually come up in several conversations that I've had just in the past week alone. And it's only what, Tuesday for me here, but so that's why I was kind of saying that. But over the weekend and the past week, that conversation has come up a lot, and it's kind of frustrating. But money makes the world go round, man, and cheap labor makes the world go round too. So that kind of is what it is. I think it's just fascinating that China like loves cigars as much as they do. Because I'm finding it here in Japan, like normally when I go out, and it's probably just because I don't know the right places to go. But when I go out to like a lot of the lounges, especially when I was in Tokyo, but even out here, that it's usually only us gaijin that are actually smoking cigars. A lot of the Japanese here are smoking cigarettes, But I know there's a culture here because you can find cigars here. So there has to be a cigar culture here. And I don't know if it's the elite that are smoking, the cigars, and they're kind of smoking them in their own time. I don't know. But for the most part, I'm kind of a stranger in my land when it comes to being a cigar smoker. They not like us. They not like us. He said, drop and give me 50 every time for those cigars. Dave said Cubans are like Drake. Drop and give me 50. Every time, yo. That was really good. That was really good. Yeah, I have had an H Upman, but I will say because of the price, especially on the Magnums, that it was very rare that I actually bought the H Upman. I've only had one. Sorry, I'm trying to fix my umbrella so my phone doesn't overheat. It's been happening a lot. Part of the Series D is Arnold Schwarzenegger's favorite cigar. If you love it as well, I'm sure it's got to be a phenomenal. It really is a good stick, man. And and I'm not saying that to jump on the Arnold bandwagon. I'm not trying to do that. But I do love it. Hey, I ain't want to put it on the Yakuza, but it's possible, man. But the thing about it is some money out here in Japan. Like even just in the neighborhood that I live in right now. Like, when we tell people the neighborhood that we live in, that, there's especially some of the Japanese nationals, they're like, oh, like, like, yo, you got dope? I'm like, nah, I don't. But I see the homes, like it's a mansion on the other end of the block. It's very rare. Like you see this kind of stucco type thing that's right here. That's what a lot of these homes are made out of. But there's like I got a neighbor down the street that like when you see a brick home here in Japan, like it stands out. And this motherfucker got a mansion. He got like 3 driveways, and he got the brick joint, and it's like 2 stories. That thing is decked out. I know he got some nice cigars in his crib. I know he got some nice cigars in there. You just got to find the right people. That's why I'm trying to learn the language. Yeah, it's some 2-story homes out here. Like my house is 2 stories. Yeah, I got a 2-story house, and my house is not even like it's a decent size. It's like 5 bedrooms, and the thing is like when I told y'all the story. I think that when we first got here, when we first moved to Sasebo, that I was in the Navy hotel, and that we lived there for 3 months because we were waiting to find a home, and we were like when we were house searching, and when y'all saw me on the live streams with the New Wave, and we were first getting Infamous started, those times that I was missing shows or I was real stressed out, and or I was dealing with my allergies and all that kind of stuff, it was because we were shopping for homes that whole time, and it was so difficult for us to find a place that that they were allowing to sell to us for one thing, that had more than like 3 bedrooms. And some of the man I found this we found this one spot that was out here that had a view that would rival my view that I had when I was living in Zushi. When y'all saw Mount Fuji when I was on the rooftop, this spot had a view that would rival that. Like there's an area out here called Kyujukushima, the 99 Islands, and this place you could see the back end of those islands, man. And you had the mountains back there, and it was a beautiful sunset. And we wanted that place so bad, but the rooms were so small. And with our kids growing up, my son is about to be 11, my daughter just turned 9, and it was no way we could put them in those rooms. And even my son, when he saw one of the rooms, he was like, "Dad, this is a closet. This is not a room." You know what I'm saying? If my son is saying that, that tell you how small the rooms were. So we had to let that spot go. Plus, it was really far out of the way too. So I mean, but this is a beautiful. This place is beautiful. It's not nearly as bustling as Yokohama, Kawasaki, and Tokyo, Yokosuka. It's nothing like that. But to be able to go outside and see the views that I see every day, it's kind of well worth it. And it's definitely like the aesthetic of the way they take care, just culturally. Not all places, but just the way they take care of the homes, and just the way things are built is completely different from anything that I experienced in America. But to be able to find this place that we have here that has 5 bedrooms, and we got enough space that we can have an office, the kids can have their own room, we can have our own room and have a guest room. Like, we were lucky to get that, and we had to wait 3 months in order to get that experience. You feel me? So it's out here. Said, bro, I want to go to Japan so bad, but I know I won't come back. It's really hard, man. I was just talking to my kids about that. We got to go back at some point. My niece and my nephew are growing up back in the States. My daughter is maturing, and she's growing into her woman. And, we got our parents back in the States. You know what I mean? We got to go back sooner or later. But it's so hard to leave this, man. It's so hard to leave the food. It's so hard to leave the all the temples. It's so hard to leave just the culture, the convenience. Like I love it here. I genuinely love where I am. I genuinely love the whole thing. And the only real downside that I got right now is that trying to get cigars is not easy for me. That's the only real drawback. You feel me? But I really can't even complain about that. I'm, thanks to so many people who've been supporting the channel. I got Cubans. I got a freaking double Corona. Olla de Monterey. And shouts out to Yov too, my homie from Germany that does the Siglu. This cat just sent me a Olla de Monterey #3. I've never had a #3 before. My first favorite Cuban was the Hoya de Monterey #1. I just love the Vitola. I know most people that are in Europe and and in Australia or whatever that like Olla de Monterey. Everybody likes the Epicure #2, and that's probably like one of the most popular Cuban cigars. Is like along with the Serie D, and all that, and the H. Upmann Magnum, of course the Cohibas. But the reason why I fell out of love with the Hoya de Monterey #2, that was the first time that I ever bought multiple Cubans. Like I went out of my way with what was that, Monte Fortuna and all that. And I got it shipped to Japan. That's another story. I don't know if I ever told y'all this story too. So check it. When I first got here, I was happy to get an actual Japanese address, and I got the cigars from Monte Fortuna. Instead of sending them to my American box, I sent them to my Japanese address, thinking I could get it sent straight to the crib, right? And I bought a box of two bowls, Olla de Monterey, Epicure #2, Epicure #1. And I was so excited to get this cigar because I had bought one at my local B&M in Yokosuka, and I was like, I fell in love with that cigar. And I got it sent to me, but I was so new to Japan, I didn't realize that they got to go through customs. And when Cuban cigars come in, they tax those cigars. So to make a long story short, they trapped my Cubans in Yokohama. So I had to literally drive from Zushi to Yokohama, and at the time I didn't know how to drive in Japan. I didn't know the highways. I didn't know anything about the toll system. I didn't know any of that. And I spent money on the tolls to get to Yokohama. And at the time, the place that I had to drive to get the cigars, I think it took me like almost an hour and a half, almost 2 hours to get there. And if I had known better, I probably could have done it in like 45 minutes on the train, but I didn't know how to ride the trains yet. And I had to pay the tax on the cigars. They literally opened up a book that had all the Cuban cigars listed in there. And they had to find out exactly which cigar that I had so they could tax that cigar. They taxed the cigar. Imagine if I would have got like some Cohibas or something like that. I would have went broke. I would have told them like, y'all can just keep this shit. Just send the shit back. So I paid however much money that was. And then they had to send it to, they couldn't even give me my cigars at the spot where they had them. They had to send me back home. I had to drive all the way back home. And then I had to wait for the cigars to get to the post office in my neighborhood. Then I had to go there and try to articulate that, I had cigars purchased. Then I had to pay for the shipping there at the post office. So I ended up paying nearly $500 in total to get those cigars. That, excuse me, that was like one of the craziest experiences I had just buying cigars. And it was just out of pure ignorance. Just not knowing the customs, literally not knowing the customs, and not knowing the culture, and just it was just like I spent way too much money on those. And I'm bringing that part up to say it's like I fell out of love with the Olla de Monterey #1 because a lot of them that I got were plugged. So the experience that I had smoking the cigars, the quality was going up and down, up and down, up and down. And I never got to chase that dragon for the first couple of, HDM #1s that I've had at that time. Since then, I've had the #2, and I enjoyed it, and I still like the #1 more, But now I got a number 3. I hadn't even seen this vitola before. I didn't even know it was a thing. So now I'm kind of excited to kind of light that up. I almost lit it, but I had to have this Partagas, man. Dave said, "Bro, I'm so pissed. I ashed my cigar and it fell off the balcony." Oh, what cigar was that, bro? I'm not laughing at you, man, because y'all saw when I dropped my cigar and it cracked that day. So like I'm not joning on you, but that's a freak accident, bro. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I took the band off, man. I got you. I knew I was getting close. I don't like burning my bands, and I don't like smoking my bands. I hate that shit. I said, wait, what? I just got here. How the fuck have you? How you fuck you have to pay $500 for the sticks? So in total, paying for the actual cigars that I got from Monte Fortuna, I think it was probably at the time they were on sale. I don't know if y'all remember Monte Fortuna, Texas. What up, homie? I don't know if y'all remember Monte Fortuna like that, but they used to do the sales on a on the tubos or the box of cigars or whatever. So I tried to get it on a sale price. So I know it was probably like close to $200 for just the price. But then with the tolls that I had to pay going up, and at the time the dollar and the yen were about 1 to 1. So then I had to pay the taxes on the cigar at the customs office. Then I had to come back and pay the tolls on the way back. And then I had to come back and pay for, whatever that shipping was at the end of the day for the cigars to actually get the cigars from the post office in order to take them home. When all of that was said and done, it was about $500 for those cigars. That's how that bullshit happened. And I could have just spent maybe what, probably total 600 to 800 yen to ride the train, and instead I'm paying the tolls going up and down. So yeah, man, I spent a lot of money getting those cigars, man. It was just a rough thing, man. It was just a lesson learned, and I could have just gone through Monte Fortuna and just had them send it to my. I can't remember if they didn't, because some places they wouldn't do the PO boxes, and I couldn't do like the AP, and American Pacific and all that kind of stuff. So those of you that actually have my address, like y'all know that it's like a weird, box address. So that's how that happened, man. That's what happened with that. He said it was just an undercrown, but it was windy as shit. Yo, you saw my phone was like blowing around too with my umbrella. So like, yeah, I know it's windy out here too, man. That sucks, bro. Yeah, it's the APO box. Mike, what up, man? I just watched your review too, man, on that Patoro, not Patoro, but that Don Patron. I had the exact same feelings when I had that cigar, man. I know Matty Boy loves that cigar. Shout out to the homie Wolf Wolf, and he sent me that cigar, and I'm grateful to him. But each time that I tried that cigar, it was just okay to me. And I gave you my selections, of the Connecticut cigars that I like, and y'all saw my top 10 on the Connecticut's. I know that needs to be updated, but it is what it is. But just when it comes to the different, I would take a Martinique over that cigar any day, you know. And I know, like, I love Lampert. Lampert makes some really good cigars. Yeah, I saw that Wimby won Rookie of the Year, man. Shouts out to you out there, man, San Antonio. That's major. But when it comes to that cigar, man, it doesn't have enough. And it's kind of a squishy cigar, and the draw is a little too open for me. And I just feel like you get all the different flavor notes in there. You get a good, Connecticut cigar out of it, but it's missing something. It's too mild for me. And I kind of felt like you just had the same, experience. If you guys haven't checked it out yet, go to Cigar Carpenter and check out his series that he's doing right now, comparing like Connecticut's or comparing the broadleafs. Check it out. It's a really good series. It's a really good series, man. And I love what you're doing. I think everybody should check it out. I think it's really good. I was just, you know, it's an okay cigar. It's good. It's good. It's all right. Guillermo said I smoked that High Clare Castle, Connecticut, bro. It was bon appetit. Glad you recommended it. I'm glad you enjoyed it too. And I would say I would put that like a notch above that Don Patron. They're kind of similar, honestly. They're kind of similar. Just the feel of the cigar, the feel of the wrapper on it, the smoke body and texture on it, the flavor notes are similar. That High Clare is just a step above that Don Patron, to me. To me. And that's kind of the thing that I was telling y'all, like, you go through that phase where you kind of follow your palate and you kind of follow what your mind is telling you about cigars, and like, your brain kind of, it's the same way with food. Sometimes, like, I was fasting the other day, and shout out to my man Stab too, who's Greek. I hadn't eaten for like, 16 hours or something like that, and my brain just started craving a gyro. I just wanted a gyro really bad. I talked about this on the live. And you know how, like, when your brain can tell you what flavors that you can taste and what you can feel, like, you don't have to be eating it. But if I just bring up milk chocolate, your brain can tell you, okay, milk chocolate, that's what I want. So my brain was like starving for the protein of lamb, because I haven't had that, and I was thinking about the tzatziki sauce, man. I was like, that pita would be money, and I could taste it. And that's the same vibe that I get with cigars. Like, I can taste those flavor profiles and those flavor notes that I want. And lately my brain has been on a smoother, lighter, more buttery profile, more bready. Like somebody said earlier, like, butter on bread. And that's kind of what I've been leaning towards for the most part. And kind of getting that tea note and that vegetable note. So my brain has just been like, yo, this is what you want to smoke right now. You want Connecticut, you want Cuban, you want a lighter Habano, you want something in that vein. So I've been trying to satisfy that need. I finally, like, it's down here on the floor. When I couldn't stay on the live the other day with the infamous, man. I'm sorry I had to hop off, and because I really wanted to chop it up with the dude from that makes the Corojo number 5. And I couldn't find that cigar in my humidor, so I grabbed the Coronetta Habano, and that was actually a pretty good cigar. It kind of satisfied what I was looking for. I think that I'm gonna enjoy the Maduro even more, but I can say that I did enjoy that Coronetta, and I can tell, like, just the way the cigars look, the different factories, I can tell they're going to be a completely different experience. And I'm just kind of glad that John Huber and E.P. Carrillo did it that way. But it was a good experience, and I can't wait to try that Coronetta again. Have y'all had the Coronetta? What do y'all think about it? He said Matt loved it. This is Mike talking about the Don Patron. Said Matt loved it. I poked some fun at him in the final rankings video about it. I know. He said the final third for me with this love and passion for my birthday, man. Happy birthday to you, homie. Many, 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 many more. And that's a great cigar for your birthday, man. Like, my win is taking this thing away. But that love and passion, man, the last time I had that cigar, it hit. It hit. So I'm glad you enjoyed that. This is out. I'm gonna go ahead and put this down. And while I got some time left, I'm gonna light up the Chinchale, because I kind of wanted to compare a Cuban-esque cigar to an actual Cuban cigar. And I want to see how close it is, how different it is, and let's see how this turns out. The wind keeps taking this thing away. And shouts out to the Cigar Collective. Shouts out to Peter. I know how much he loves this cigar. I know it's one of his favorites. So I want to light it for him. That's a completely different profile already, just with the cold draw. That's really nice, man. This is a good cigar, dude. I don't know how people don't like this cigar. Matt likes the mouthy stuff too. Too much pepper on the retro hell, and he doesn't really like it. That's pretty true. Mike said Euros are so good. Now I want Euros. Me too, bro. I still never got that. I still want it. now, now Cal saying he want one too. My bad, fellas. Said I know right now you're trying to make me break my fast. Sorry, fellas. All right, man. All right, Cal. I'm sorry you up out of here, man. My bad. I'm trying to catch up. I'm running my mouth. Let me light this up and get this chinchale going. Woo! I'm gonna try to do this without my phone blowing away. Hey, man. I also want to give y'all a big thanks too, man, because that last short that I did with the brother, ew, what's that, brother? That thing is almost at like 9,000 views, man. I wanted to have fun with that short, and I know I don't do a lot, of content on my channel anymore. But I'm really grateful, man, that y'all really commented on that, man, and y'all gave it a lot of love, and it got put out into the algorithm, and it's doing really well, man. It's just fun, man. I had a good time doing that. It's been a fun week, man, between doing that and the Drake and Kendrick beef. One thing I'll say right here, I'm not loving the draw on this. This is a much, much tighter cigar. It feels a lot different compared to what I just had. But like the homie Matt says, it's still tons of smoke. Guillermo said, I'm sending my nephew to bring me 3 Cuban cigars. Which ones do you recommend? If you can get the Partagas Series D that I just had, definitely get that. If you can get anything from Trinidad, a Quay D'Orsay 50, or a Monte #2, definitely get that. If you can get Ramon Alone Special Selection, get that. And if anybody else is in the chat, man, there's 17 people watching. Thank you to everybody to hit that like button too. Recommend some Cubans for the homie Guillermo as well too. So Mike M said he just smoked their H half Corona a few days ago. Yeah, that's money right there too. Smoke your best, man. That's what it's all about. Smoke your best cigars. I know I was talking, man. I lost my whole train of thought because I was really trying to get into this chinchale for a second. My bad. I really drifted off for a second there. I was in space. So my bad on that. No doubt, man. Report back to me, Guillermo, when you get those cigars and you get a chance to actually light them up and smoke them. I really want your opinions. And I know I say this to y'all all the time, man. Y'all feel free to hit the DM or feel free to come on the lives and comment on the channel, whatever. Not for the algorithm or anything like that, but I do want to hear your experiences when you get a chance to smoke these cigars, man. Like I still like that's the main thing. Like that's why I continue to do lives and stuff like that. That's why I continue to sit back and have conversations with you. Because I know y'all don't want to hear just me talking about cigars all the time. Y'all don't want to just hear my opinions. And I don't want to just hear myself drone on for an hour and some change, talking cigars. I want to hear what y'all, are experiencing too. So I love when y'all throwing up what y'all smoking for the evening. And I know I pop in at odd times, but I do like to get other people's perspectives. That's why, I was really giving a big shout out to Cigar Carpenter and Mike's channel, just because I love the way he's breaking down cigars right now. We got Unbanded coming up, so I get to smoke with them. I can't wait to sit back and smoke with those guys. We're kind of moving around some dates right now, but that's coming up really soon. I did like the Juan Lopez. I didn't smoke a lot of those. I've had a couple, and it's been a while. It's probably been 3 or 4 years since I've actually had one, to be honest with you. But I remember enjoying it. It's probably a picture of one on my Instagram. If you go back a little ways, you can see when I was like in that Cuban phase and I was smoking mad Cubans at that time. I know a few of them are still up there on the Instagram. Yeah, no doubt, man. Like, cause it's interesting to me because it's so many people who still haven't had the chance to have a Cuban cigar, and and to really like to get a feel for what the cigars is about. And that's kind of the main thing that I wanted to talk about because I can go all day and tell you all about these New World cigars that are Cuban-esque. And I can talk about the Mil Diaz all day, and I can talk about, the Andalusian Bull, and I can talk about, the Chinchale and Warp and Illusione and yada, yada, yada. But they don't have the same effect. Even smoking this, that vegetal note that I was telling you all about, it has the floral, it has that, kind of honey sweetness in there. The cedar is not as strong as on this one as I've had in some of these cigars before. But that vegetal note, man, that twang, it's not here. It's not here. And it's like you miss it. As much as people try to push the envelope to give you that experience, they can use the Criollo, they can use the Corojo, and they can use the Habano and all that. They can go down the line. They just don't give you that same feeling. And as much as I love this cigar, I think the last time I had this thing, I was sitting back and I was just like, dang, I love this cigar, man. And I'm enjoying it right now. But I can honestly say that I'm missing that Serie D. Like, that's really a cigar I could go back to back with. And as much as I am enjoying this, it's still good. But the feel in the hand is different. Like I told you, they were similar sizes. They basically were both stalls, right? But that's so good, but it's just not the same. Yeah, I dig the Boulevard too. I really dig the Boulevard, man. It's just, and it's I, as you can see, I'm kind of a Cuban fan. Like, I really appreciate Cuban cigars. And that's the point that I was trying to get across earlier, that I really do enjoy them. I just hate the crapshoot. I could go down the list of like all the different Cuban cigars that I love. And I thought about that. Like, I just didn't want to keep going on and recommending Guillermo too many different cigars. But that Boulevard is definitely worth it, you know. And I couldn't narrow it down to like 3 cigars. That was really tough for me because I really appreciate them. That's like, somebody asking me like, yo, out of the whole Dumbarton tobacco line, which one do you recommend? It's like, bro, I can't just give you just one. I can't. It's like impossible. It's impossible. Hey, recommend. Somebody asked me the other day like, which Cavalier cigar would you recommend? I can't just recommend just one. Like, I can't just do that because each time I think about one, I think about the next one. Like, oh, you need to try the Viso Jalapa. But that black is money. You know, but like and you keep doing that. Like, you can keep going down the line. And it's just good when you got, when you have options like that. And Mike was saying like, you can't replicate that flavor. You really can't, man. You really can't. And that's the beauty of terroir. And that's kind of like when I get into, if I ever do that episode that I've been talking about forever about just my opinions on Cuban cigars. If I ever had the time just to sit down and write that video and make that video the way that I want to make it, that's one thing that I want to talk about, like the importance of terroir, like the importance of where that cigar comes from. And I know, like, and we've talked on on the infamous pod, and we've talked about like different places where cigars come from. And I know I make this point a lot with the Arcana series. When you talk about the Firewalker, when you talk about the Mortal Coil, and you talk about the Amazon Basin, those cigars are so specific to that terroir where they're getting them from that no cigar is going to taste like those cigars. There's like the Amazon basin is on the level with the Cuban of how specific and how unique that flavor profile is from that cigar. And the same thing with the Firewalker. And I know people don't like that minerality. And if you really like appreciate that, if you just want to understand, like somebody was asking me, like, how do you describe minerality in a cigar? It's so hard because it's not just salt and it's not just earth, but it's almost a metallic flavor profile. And it's just so it's so specific. It's almost like when you drink bottled water and you have a really good, well water, or you have a really good water that has been fortified with minerals in it, and you can taste that it doesn't taste just like water. You get that kind of salty, earthy profile to your cigar, almost metallic like profile. That Firewalker gives you that in droves. It's not like chalk, but it's similar to that. Because you got certain cigars that have a chalky profile that literally tastes like chalk. And I'm sorry that I'm drawing a blank right now, because normally I can kind of bring a cigar up that actually gives you a chalky flavor profile. But it's not chalk. I'm gonna try to make it. And it's not gonna be a series. It's just gonna be one episode. And I just kind of want to go into how I feel about Cubans, because I just don't feel like I know you got I can't think of the guy's name. I can't think of the name of his channel. It's the Indian brother that that he mainly smokes Cuban cigars, and he compares Cuban cigars a lot. He got dark hair, got a beard. I can't think of what his name is. He has a really nice production on his channel. I can't think of it. It's a weird name of the channel. But even with him talking about Cubans, I never feel like anybody goes into what really makes these Cubans different and what makes them the same. And I really want to have that conversation, because I don't want people to feel like that Cubans are the holy grail, because they're not that. But they are a special cigar. Like, you really should appreciate Cubans for what they are. I just don't want people to get lost in the sauce. Like they're gonna have to climb up to the top of the mountain and spend $500 to get a cigar. It's not worth it. But the experience of actually getting a Cuban cigar, just so you can add a different element to your palate, is well worth it. And I feel like it's the same thing when you try the Amazon Basin, when you try the Andalusian Bull, when you try a Sin Compromiso, when you try these cigars, when you try a 1502 Sapphire, when you try a cigar that doesn't taste like any, and I would even say with the Padron, it's worth it to go out and try all of these different, flavors to get an idea of, like, okay, this is what they're talking about when they say this is a floral cigar. This is what they're talking about when they're saying this cigar has bready notes. This is what they're talking about when a cigar has a Cuban twang. To be able to have that in your olfactory senses, that you can recall these cigars and that you can recall these flavor profiles and you can compare and contrast, it's worth it to be able to have that in your repertoire. And it's worth it to help you develop your palate. He said the Lavareda is chalky. I don't remember getting chalk on that, man. But and I'm not gonna say you're wrong, because like I said, I've only had it the one time, and I gotta go back into that cigar to try it again. There was one cigar that I had that, like, the only thing that I really did taste was chalk, and I can't think of what it is. Would I say Flor de las Antillas is Cubanesque? Not really. Not really. And I know that's kind of what they were going for. They were kind of going for an old world flavor profile, not like they do with like what was I gonna say? Like My Father is completely different from that. But I would put it closer to the family of a Cuban than I would put it closer to, somewhere in the Nicaraguan. You know what I mean? So I get why people would think that. And if you get a chance, go to my I got two videos that I did on Cubans. It was supposed to be a 3-part series, so I got one more video to do. Sooner or later I'll get around to it. But go check those out, my videos on Cubans. especially the top 10, especially the top 10 Cubanesque. It'll kind of give you a feel for cigars that are Cubanesque. And you can always play around in warped cigars, and you can always play around in Illusione because that's really what they focus on. So I think I'm kind of, this is Mike saying, I think I'm kind of sensitive to chalky minerality. I think a lot of people interpret it as a creaminess in the labrador, but there's a minerality to it combined with the way that it coats your mouth. I know exactly what you're talking about. I know exactly what you're describing right there, and I've had that in cigars. And I got to go back to that labrador so I can kind of understand, if I get the same thing that you got from that. Because the time that I had it, I was on a live and I didn't really get to absorb the cigar the way I wanted to. I just remember liking the cigar, and I remember it being creamy, and I remember it had some sweet profiles in there that I really enjoyed. So I do want to go back to that to see if I get that same effect that you got, because what you described right there, that's the same thing that I experienced on the cigar that I was talking about earlier. Who was this up in here? Humidor Highlights. She said, "What up, man? Smoking my father Labor Jew 22 torpedo tonight. Enjoy that." When we talk about like an old world, kind of a rustic leathery cigar, that is definitely in that wheelhouse, man. La Camina is Cubanesque, and that's what I couldn't understand with the black honey. I wondered with the black honey, where they're trying to say, okay, we're gonna do, we did the La Camina, we did a very Cubanesque cigar here, and let's do something that's going to be kind of in the same vein as the as a Bolivar or a Ramon Alonez. And I think that's what they were trying to do. But that cigar had that rubbery profile in it, man. It's just something about it was off. The draw was off, and the flavors were off. And I just, but I think that's what they were trying to do. That's just my opinion. I don't know. Maybe somebody was saying that that cigar maybe needs some time, maybe it needs some more time to age or whatever. Maybe so. And I think they had high hopes for that. What up, work? Trying to get that profile and that, and trying to get like that, those, darker, more sun grown Cuban flavors. Maybe that's what they were trying to do. And it just didn't hit. And that's why they were trying to put that high price range on that. It just didn't work out. It just didn't work. But the La Camina, for real, the OG, facts, is definitely Cubanesque. Look at the way this bad boy's smoking right there. That's nice. That's nice. Peter, get up on this cigar, man. It's really good. I want people to really take the time to expand their palates, though. And I think the Cuban journey is necessary. I just hate that it's so hard for everybody to get a chance to really kind of get the feel for what that's like. But you need to go on that journey when you're trying these cigars that are outside of the box. Like, I'm really glad I took the time to smoke that Istanbul. It wasn't my favorite. It wasn't my favorite at all because it really is. It's such a dry profile, and the wrapper on it is dry, and it's very woody, and it gives you a lot of hay in there. It gives you that like kind of wheat tones, but it's such a dry profile. Like it dried my palate out. It, I don't know. I felt like it could have used like that creamy texture to kind of go along with it. Another cigar that kind of reminds me of that, and once again, this is a cigar that's kind of chalky at the same time. It's the CLE HTK whatever EXE or something like that. If you guys know the name of the cigar off the top of your head, it kind of fit in a similar profile to that. And the first time that I had that cigar, it completely threw me off. I hated it. I absolutely hated it. But I think part of the reason why I hated that cigar so much is because I was expecting like the normal creamy, chocolatey, you know, coffee notes that you would get from a lot of the CLE. Like, so a lot of those cigars are like candy bars. And this cigar doesn't taste anything like that. And you got to appreciate when blenders when they zag a little bit, when they kind of go off the beaten path. I got to appreciate Saka for doing the Wagashi, even though I wasn't a big fan of that cigar. I want to try it again. I got to appreciate EP Carrillo, taking that left turn with the Allegiance and making it different from the rest that are in that quadrilogy. I want to smoke that Encore Black too, so I got it downstairs. I want to smoke that to see how different that is. And I guess you can't be mad at that at La Camina for zagging a little bit and going with a different flavor profile. I think that's necessary. And sometimes you gotta allow yourself to adapt to a different flavor profile. And you gotta, and that's why I try to give other flavors and other blends that I didn't love the first time around. I try to give them another go. It was the same thing with that Don Patron. I smoked that and I was like, let me give this another chance. Because when I had the Lampert series, that was, what is it, like 1675 or something like that. I really, really enjoyed those cigars. And I thought they were absolutely phenomenal. So I'm thinking like, yo, Matty Boy is saying that, this Don Patron is gonna be money, and I know this one is gonna be money too, but it just didn't hit the way that I was expecting it to hit. And even the second time around, I had to like say to myself, like, yo, this is really what this cigar is. It's really a lighter body smoke. It's really like an open draw. It's really like a lighter, slightly sweet profile that gives you a lot of the Connecticut notes. And sometimes you can taste them on the side of your mouth. You can taste them on the side of your tongue and different things like that. But it didn't give me enough to make me say, okay, I want to keep back going. I want to keep going back to the cigar. Sorry, there's a silence in here, but I'm really trying to appreciate this cigar. And as much as I love this cigar, like, I look at the way this thing is burning, man. This thing is phenomenal. But my brain is still comparing it to that Siri D and just the way that cigar smoked. That's probably one of the best cigars that I've had recently. JB, what up, man? Thanks for stopping through, homie. What up? This really does make me appreciate what a real Cuban is like. I can't in my brain allow this to ever get to the point where I can allow this to be a substitute. I got to put this in his own lane. The Chinchale is in his own lane. I love the fact though that you can get a different experience from one cigar to the next like that. Like getting two cigars that are similar size and shooting for a similar profile. But then again, like, that wrapper is completely different. The way the wrapper feels, the oils on this wrapper are a lot more significant. It's a lot shinier, and it tastes oilier on the palate. The smoke tastes like it has a higher amount of oils to it. And the pack on this was like it was way more firmly packed. And I do apologize if this is boring to y'all, but this is the way, like, when I'm just sitting up here by myself, this is the way I kind of like process through my cigars. And I'm really just kind of processing out loud the way I normally do in my brain. This is way more of a leathery texture and flavor. And you get those floral notes. I can see why somebody like I can when I think about the Istanbul that I was talking about earlier, and I think about the Chinchale, as much as I love this cigar and I liked the Istanbul, I can see why somebody like Peter, whose palate is more in line with the Dunbartons and with the Crown Heads, I can see why he would appreciate that cigar more, and I can see why this one turns him off. I get it. I honestly do, because when sometimes you gotta smoke the cigar not from your palate. It's like every time you pick up the cigar, it's like, okay, this is a brand new experience. This is a brand new time to like smoke the cigar, and I'm not gonna think about it in the sense that like, okay, this is something that I want, and this is a flavor profile that I'm seeking out. I gotta look at this as a whole new ball game. Change directions a little bit. Speaking of Dunbarton, I had some fun the other day. Um, just trying out a cigar that I hadn't had for a minute. So Peter sent me some of the samples that like they're not quite unbanded. That I got it right here. Hold up. Give me a sec. I can reach it. One of these. Hopefully my light won't drown that out. You see DTT EX 153. And I wondered if would I be able to tell like which cigars were which on this. And I'm noticing here that this is a sample for the Exclusivo from the Muestra de Saca line. And I got the most unique flavor out of that cigar. And I was talking about this on another live, but I figured since I got a little bit of time, I'm sitting here with y'all, I might as well talk about it while I'm right here. I got wafers. Do y'all remember like the wafer cookies or crackers? I think they're more, I don't know, they're more like a pastry, I guess. And, you know, the ones that are like in the little rectangles and they got the little, diamond shapes all through it. Like you get them inside of Kit Kats, you get them inside of Nutter Butters, and they're just just the vanilla wafers. Not the Nilla wafers, not the little cookies, but the little thin joints. And that cigar, I'm just kicking back and I'm smoking the same way I was smoking this cigar, and that flavor hit, and I was able to just kind of like, oh, that's a wafer. That shit was so cool, and it was so fun to get that and to be able to pinpoint a different flavor profile and a different note that I hadn't had before. Look at that. The downside to that is that the chances of actually being able to, hey yo Peter, make sure you hop up on this, man. It'll change, brother, I swear. But the downside to that is being able to get that profile again. It's like it's gonna be slim to none. Especially like when you know that cigar is not gonna be out on the market. That's like one of the downsides of this thing, especially with a lot of these limited editions. When they do a limited edition and it actually hits the way that you want it to hit, and it's like, man, I'm not gonna be able to get that again. Or if you get like a cigar that's like a sample, and you know somebody just hands you a cigar that you never had before, like, yo, I got something special that's in my humidor. I want you to try this, and it actually hits the way that you wanted to hit. It's like, damn, man, I probably will never be able to taste that again. What's that, brother? Brother, ew. Nah, this ain't that, brother. This ain't that. He said there's some cigars that there's no chance Peter will like. It is what it is. But it's still fun to give him a hard time about it. Yeah, that's because I really dig that brother, man. I dig it. I gotta give him a hard time. But this one right here, man, he's missing out. He's straight up missing out. I was thinking the other day, man, it's like there are times where it's just like, do I need to smoke as many cigars as I'm smoking? And I don't know, I don't think this is gonna affect me health wise, down the line. I don't think it's gonna be anything that I need to worry about long term. Shouts out to everybody to hit that like button too, man. I appreciate y'all. Um, but I really enjoy this whole journey, man. I enjoy being able to have these inside jokes with y'all. I really enjoy being able to, just kind of pontificate and dissect cigars like this. And the past few nights, like, I just been going out on my front porch. We just did a whole bunch of yard work, and the front yard is looking nice. My patio is kind of nice. The porch, rather. And I just get to sit and watch my neighbors walk by and walk their dogs, during the day. And I'm just sitting back with a cigar. And I'm just like, yo, how can I give this up, man? Like, it's just such a good feeling to be able to just sit back and dissect a cigar, whether it's a sample, or just like last night, I went back just to explore the Undercrown 10, and a couple people sent me that Ming too, and I know Peter was saying that it was a special release from the Smoke Inn, and I really love that cigar, man. And I sat back, and I told you guys, because like, that feeling when you're going through your humidor and you're trying to find the cigar that's gonna fit the flavor profile that you're looking for, and you're trying to find the one that's gonna suit you and suit the mood. I took out all these cigars, including the Partagas, including the Encore Black. Um, I got my unbanded cigar. I got that in the dry box right now. And I took out all these cigars, and I took out a couple that were in the lighter profile, because I'm like, okay, I want to sit back and I want to try these cigars. But something in me was just in the mood for that Undercrown 10. And I was like, yo, I haven't tried the Ming in that Vitola yet. And I want to sit back and see what this cigar was like. And I was puffing that cigar, and I was like, yo, I forgot how good this cigar is. My favorite one out of that line is this Factory Smoke. And when they put it in the Lonsdale Vitola, but that Ming was hitting, bro. And the way, like, from the moment I lit it up, then that first draw, and I'm just sitting out there, and I'm reading over my Japanese homework, and I'm just kicking it with my vanilla soda, and that paired really well too, by the way. But like, when you get a cigar that hits all the notes and it draws exactly the way that you want it to, and you get the right amount of like smoke body, and it's burning like this, like it's just, it's not too many moments that hit like that. Like, you really get to sit back and like, yo, I enjoy this hobby, man. I just enjoy being able to understand this cigar. I enjoy just being able to be in the moment. Even when you're not dissecting flavors, you're just like, yo, this is just, it hits the way that a cigar is supposed to hit. I think that's why all of you guys are here. I think that's why all of you guys enjoy just sitting back and talking about cigars like this, because it's what really makes that the whole hobby worth it. We can go back and compare and contrast. It was cool to just kind of, throw out the pictures into the group chat and all that kind of stuff. But even in that moment, man, I was just like, yo, if nobody was here and I was alone on a desert island, I would still be able to soak up that cigar the same way. And the whole time I was thinking, like, God damn, this is a good cigar, man. And I honestly, I had forgotten how good it was. Like, I really have forgotten how good that cigar was. And I've talked about it a lot. I've praised that cigar a lot. If you go back through the vintage cigar, if you go through Instagram, you can see that I love that cigar. But even again, like having it again for the however many times, I know I've at least gone through at least 15 or 20 of those cigars, if not more. And I enjoy it every freaking time. It's not too many cigars. Like, I know I can rely on the Micarita. I know I'm gonna get that feeling from the Micarita. I feel like a new cigar that's gonna be that way is the Mil Diaz Maduro. I feel like that's gonna be another cigar. Even with the Chinchale, as much as I love the cigar, I enjoy the cigar. I don't think it hits that same way. It didn't hit the way that, and I think that's why I appreciate, like, I never did the scoring thing. Well, I can't say never because I did. But when I was just doing standard reviews, I didn't do a scoring on those cigars. I just told people, like, hey, this is what I felt about it. I liked it. You should go out and get it for yourself, right? Or like, try it for yourself, but I really didn't enjoy this for whatever reason. You probably wouldn't enjoy it. But when you can kind of sit back and assess something, whether it's going to be an A minus, B, or you're going to do a rating like Peter does, whether it's going to be A tier, S tier, or you're doing, hound dogs, whether it's going to be pedestrian or whether it's going to be a memorable or unparalleled. When you can actually pinpoint a cigar and be like, yo, this is an A plus cigar. It's really that. That's like when you can actually appreciate a cigar for what it is, and you can unequivocally go to somebody like, yo, how do you feel about the cigar? Yo, that Undercrown 10, A plus. It's an A plus, for damn sure. And you really wouldn't even expect that cigar to be that, especially when you look at it like from a Drew Estate standpoint. And it's just an offshoot of one of their regular production, everyday budget lines, and it's just an Undercrown, which are good cigars. Undercrown Shade, Dave, that was just in here earlier. He had an Undercrown Maduro. They're really good cigars. I don't know what they did to make the Undercrown 10 different, but it's different. Like, it smokes different. Like, the quality on that wrapper, I didn't have to worry about the wrapper breaking on it. I didn't have to worry about it exploding. That Istanbul that I had literally turned into dust. It's over there. I wish I could. I'm not gonna get up and show it to you, but if I could just show that to you, that whole cigar disintegrated in my hand, and like that takes away from that experience. I hate sitting with a cigar and having to fuck with it and having to to mess with it to get it to smoke. Get the fuck out of here. I'm not doing it. You want your cigars to smoke like this every time. And I know you can't expect perfection on a regular basis, but you want to be able to have that experience where you can just kick back and enjoy your cigar without having to worry about anything. It just smokes the way it's supposed to smoke. I know the ash is finally going to drop on this thing, but I'm not smoking this cigar to do an ash contest. I'm not smoking it just to allow it to, like trying to hold my cigar up. This is just the way that it's doing. Like, this is just the way this cigar is. And this is the way your cigar should smoke. The draw on it is a little bit tighter than I wanted it to be, but it's still like I don't feel like I'm fighting with it. I don't feel like I'm going through anything. Fred, what up, homie? What you light up tonight, man? There you go. I knew it was gonna be a matter of time, but you still can't be mad that literally had this cigar held on like that. Better man, what up? Thank y'all for joining in, man. You know what's funny? Like, I'm so familiar with a lot of y'all now, man, from the Discord, from you guys like being regulars on the lives and actually showing support for the channel. Peter, what up, M? What up, homie? I really appreciate it. I didn't forget about you either, man. Um, you don't like you don't take it for granted that so many of you guys actually take the time to show up to the channel. And we got 17 people in here right now, and it's always the familiar faces that pop up. And like, what's really dope, man, y'all came in here and y'all kicked it with me instead of just Cigars Daily was going live. Like, y'all hanging out with me, and I'm just a regular dude, just telling stories and smoking cigars with y'all, man. It's kind of dope that there's so many of y'all, but you never know who pops up. You never know who's watching. 3,000, what up? ATL in the house. Hey, before I continue with what I was saying, I don't know like how many of y'all were following the whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar beef back and forth. It was really a good show. It started off kind of like it wasn't gonna be good, but Kendrick like turned it up another notch. But I know I was talking with Fred about this too. But the last verse that Kendrick did on "Not Like Us," when he called out Drake for mooching and taking everything from Atlanta and all the different Atlanta rappers that he was like borrowing their styles from, that was just lyrical excellence. That was like he carved that boy up, man. It was such a beautiful thing the way he did that in that verse, man. That's absolutely like my favorite part of that whole battle. And shouts out to Atlanta, man, because coming from East Coast dude, growing up and listening to East Coast hip hop, and being a backpacker and mainly listening to like New York rappers and all that kind of stuff, to do what Atlanta did for hip hop is a beautiful thing. And Drake being such a huge pop star tells you everything you need to know about the contributions of Atlanta to hip hop music and the culture. It was a beautiful thing, and a West Coast dude being able to just dissect them and pick them apart and illustrate that was just, it was real cool. But going back to what I was saying, BBL Drizzy, I was doing that. He's Better Man said "Not Like Us" is so good. I listened to it 10 minutes after it dropped. Yeah, I was on it too, and I was actually pumping it today. Super catchy, man. And my wife from the Bay Area, so it kind of felt good to get that Bay Area rhythm. It's just a good thing. What I was saying about like having so many different people in here, you never know like who is actually watching. It's always people that are lurking around and in the background. And I know it's certain people that like watch the channel and just they're driving or they're in bed and just listening or whatever, like listening to this like it's a podcast or whatever. And I know it's some people who are also in here just kind of mining for information and mining for different topics to talk about and use for their channels and their platforms and stuff like that. And it's also what surprised me is that there are people who are running cigar companies and running, you know, they have their own brands and their own companies and they're actually listening. And I'm just a regular dude, but it was so funny to me that like there's a particular brand that I go in on that I don't talk about highly. I'm not gonna say who they are, and I'm not gonna say what that brand is right now. But it was just kind of funny to me that I noticed when I was on the Infamous podcast that they were actually in there listening to the show and commenting and stuff like that. And it was funny. Like I always wonder. Like I don't hold my thoughts back, and I don't really like put too much of a blockade on what I think. I try to speak openly, but I don't want it to seem like right now that I'm bagging on them. But I would really want to know like how they really feel about my perspective on their brand. And I wonder because I feel like that if I'm on Instagram sometimes and they pop up on my feed and they're talking about their brand and they're hyping their brand up and they're marketing and they're doing their whole thing, I feel like they sending subs at me like Drake. I feel like it's certain times where they're doing a wink and a nod where it's like, I hear you and I know what you're saying. And I think it's a major part of them that I don't know. I wonder if they're like pissed or if I wonder if they're taking it as constructive criticism or I wonder if they're taking it as I'm hating on them. And I feel like it's the latter. But it's not that. It's just like I really I like when I was talking about all of these different, cigars and, talking about the different, idea of trying these different cigars out, seeing what suits your palate, giving them extra, chances and giving them different ways. A BBL cigar company. Mm. it's that's pretty funny. It's more like this. They not like us. That's the way I see it. I ain't gonna say they got a BBL, but they not like us. I don't have much time, man. I don't have an extra battery up here, so my battery's going low. So I'm only gonna be up here for another minute or so. But I do find that interesting. I know that people are lurking, and I know that people are lurking in a positive way, and I know some people are lurking in a not so positive way, and I know certain people are kind of mining, and they're welcome. They're welcome to be here, and I'm always open to have a conversation, and kind of like talk to them in the chat, and I'm also willing to talk to them, behind the scenes or whatever the case may be. But I appreciate the fact that people actually want to take the time to just talk about cigars and just talk about the culture and just kind of just sit back and chill. And I appreciate people that just want to listen, like, because you never know what you're bringing to the table. And all of us as reviewers and YouTubers and content creators, you never know what kind of impact you're gonna have on people. We are influencers. It is what it is, And I know that's kind of like, you know, you can almost put that in the context. It's like it's the I word, Like people don't want that title, but it is what it is. And I'm not gonna act like anything that I say is gonna be necessarily a game changer or it's gonna be any deeper than what Tim from Cigars Daily is gonna bring to the table. It's not gonna be any different from what Matt Cigar Hound Dog, and it's not gonna be any different from someone that's just getting started, like Mike with Cigar Carpenter. Like I feel like I'm the same as all of those cats. I'm a dude who loves cigars that has just taken the time to create a channel to go over and just talk about the stuff that we love about this culture and to really like herf and have a good time. I feel like it's all the same. I don't have anything to sell. Messi, what up? You said PCKB. Peace to the chat. Smoking that good chinchale. I like the way you said that. That good chinchale. It is damn good. Damn right. It don't miss, man. And I really do enjoy the cigar, man. And you see how it's smoking. I really do enjoy the cigar. And when I grabbed the cigar out of the humidor before I started this thing, this week I was down to my last 3. So after this I only have 1 more left because I've been smoking a fair amount. And the last one I was like, I almost had that moment where I was just like, I wasn't gonna smoke it because I was thinking like maybe I want to save it for later. But y'all know the whole thing. It's like you want to smoke your best, you want to enjoy your best. And I really did want to do the comparison between that and the Series D. So I was like, fuck it, man. That old saying, if you love something, you let it go. And if it comes back to you, it's meant to be. And it's not like this cigar isn't in regular production, so I can just go ahead and get it again anyway. But sometimes, man, you just got to smoke the cigar you want to smoke. I got to read this one out. Mike said I had to grab another chinchale because I was running low on great cigars. So you gotta build up your great cigars, man. I like the way you put that. Great cigar. And it really is that, man. It really is that. I wouldn't put it in the A plus, like I did with that Undercrown 10, but it's definitely, it hit the spot and it's doing what it was supposed to do. Hound Dog, what up, homie? Woof woof. Sometimes you just gotta go in a humidor, man, and get the cigar that you want, yo. Don't worry about how many you got. Don't worry about if you're gonna run out or anything like that. Sometimes you gotta appreciate it in that moment. You just gotta take it for that moment. It is what it is. Yeah, man, Texas is in here saying that it was his birthday, man. I wished him happy birthday earlier, man. Many, many, many more, man. You don't take those birthdays for granted, man. He smoked a good cigar. He came to hang out with the kid for a minute, man. So that was a big deal. I didn't know it was his birthday until he said it, man. So and don't be afraid to do that, man. Yo, beat your chest. If it's your birthday, tell everybody you see it's your birthday, man. You only get so many. You only get so many summers, you know. You only get so many birthdays. Why not smoke a great cigar? Sit back and enjoy it, man, and appreciate that you made it however many years you made it. It's a beautiful thing. Ain't nothing slack about that at all. BBL, woof woof. I know Roger might think he got a BBL, man. Matt put in that hard work. No drizzy. Yo, that's kind of a crazy thing, yo, because I don't got much time because this phone is gonna die. I don't want it to die. I probably got like 9% left. When you really sit back and think about it, I, I feel bad for judging, man, but going to get surgery to get abs is crazy to me, man. That's crazy to me, man. Like, just eat a good diet, bro. It ain't even got to. It ain't even like between Kanye and Drake getting body surgery. That's crazy to me, man. Like I just don't understand it. But I can't judge somebody for doing what they want to do. But I just put a routine into your week, man. Stop eating so many burgers. Everything in moderation, man. But a dude getting the BBL is wild to me, yo. That's like I sit back and I've been laughing at this whole thing the whole time. It's crazy to me. Keith said, "Hey guys, just got home from traveling all day and fired up a Mil Diaz Maduro." That's the Mil Diaz is on fire right now, man. Everybody is lighting that shit up right now. I gotta say that Crown Heads really hit it out of the park with that Maduro. He said surgical abs is beyond me. That's beyond me. he said sometimes you just can't fix that Hank Hill ass. This is true, man. This is true. It's absolutely true. Sometimes, man, you just gotta work with what you got. I'm never gonna be taller than 5'10". It is what it is. I have to live with the fact that I'm 5'10". I never made it to 6 feet. Maybe 5'11". I gotta live with that. It is what it is. You know, I saw a dude the other day, man, who he got that surgery where they break your bones and they separate your tibia and your fibia, and they put a rod in there and they extend people's height. And I'm like, dog, you went from 5'7" or whatever to 6 feet tall or whatever you did. I can't remember what the actual height was, but you still got Tyrannosaurus arms. So like, it's not worth it, man. All the amount of money that would take to change your body like that. Do you know how many cigars I can buy with that? Do you know how much food I can buy with that? You know what I'm saying? Like I can't see it, bro. Like I love tattoos, but I can't spend my disposable income on that right now because there's so many other things that are more important. Like if I could right now, I would be covered in tattoos. My whole back, my arms, my chest, everything would be covered. And I just can't see spending that amount of money on. Yeah, so like 5'8", but you got a soul of a 6'9", brother. You know what I mean? So like, yo, it is what it is, man. You know, big man gonna be a big man. You know, it do his own thing, man. So it's just like you don't have to worry about that. You are who you are. You are who you are. I can see if it was something that was gonna be like an impairment, like it's something dental, you can't eat the way that you're supposed to, or you had an accident or something like that. I get it. But just to go out to be a pop star, and just so like that's crazy to me, man. I just can't see it. It's just not me. It is what it is. And it's like, yo, if you are 6'8", that's the thing. Like, appreciate that shit. Not everybody gonna get to that height. Not everybody gonna be there. And enjoy being able to get things off the top shelf. There's always got to be drawbacks to it too, because getting into certain cars and getting on planes and all that, finding pants to fit ain't always gonna be the most fun. But Ladies love tall dudes. It is what it is. Mike said, I wish I wasn't born so blessed in the pants. It's a burden. Man, it's a lot to carry, man. It is what it is, yo. But sometimes you just gotta, whatever your cross to bear is, you gotta be able to carry it, man. It is what it is, man. Y'all stupid, man. Dave said he needed reduction surgery too. So something, yo, man, it's the blessing and the curse. It's the blessing and the curse. No drizzy. All right, let's end it on a joke, man. I know some of y'all just got here, man. Sorry, I gotta end it. I don't want this phone to die. I don't want to just cut off on y'all, so I'd rather end it the way I can end it. Never too old for winning jokes. Never, never ever. That's why I like doing this, man. Y'all really genuinely put a smile on my face, man. I love chopping it up with y'all. Anyway, I'm gonna shut this one down. I'm gonna go see if I can catch the rest of the basketball game that's going on right now. I think the Timberwolves are playing right now. The Knicks got to win, and my phone just told me I got 3%, so that's definitely the one. Y'all stay up. Thanks for enjoying the Cuban with me. Thanks for enjoying the Cubanesque cigar with me. We had 2 great cigars tonight. Thank you, bro. Hey, these lives can't be great without y'all, man. He said, all right, Fred said he got a joke real quick. Let me do this real quick. So I already see the punchline. Everybody got the punchline. What do you call a pig that does karate? A pork chop. Fred coming with the dad jokes. Moses, my man, be safe. Everybody be good. Thank y'all, everybody that hit the like button. Thank you to everybody that contributed, threw in some comments. And everybody just having fun, making this, fun. Y'all are the best. Y'all hung out with me for 2 hours. I don't know when I'm gonna do the next live, man. I'll pop up when I can. I got a lot going on right now, but I will be back sooner or later. Thanks for chilling with me. I think it's a Monday night for y'all. So thank you, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all be easy. Eat good. Get abs the right way. Don't go get surgery on your abs. You don't need to do that, man. That's crazy. Y'all stay up. They not like us. They